What's up guys, my name is Isaiah Rivera. I took my vertical from 24 to 50.5 inches and I'm gonna take you guys through a sample week of training. It's gonna include every single detail and it's pretty much exactly what I do. This cycle was written by John Evans, who's gonna help me explain the week. Hope you guys enjoy this video and make sure to try this workout and see what happens.
So the week of training that we're gonna cover is actually from when Isaiah was in 29. He was training there for roughly 3 to 4 months, building up volume and intensity in the weight room and getting faster and faster in the movements that he was doing. So keep that in mind if you guys plan on implementing this in your own training. So for day one, Isaiah warmed up and actually started with alternate leg bounding. The reason that we start with alternate leg bounding is because it's a power exercise. It's also elastic in nature and it needs to be the highest quality for there to be significant adaptation. Isaiah did 5 by 8, and so it was technically 4 each, accumulating a total of roughly 40 contacts. Now keep in mind, during a sprint, he might take roughly 8 contacts in a given sprint and do about 8 reps. So if he did 8 by 8, that would be about 64 foot contacts. In this, he's actually seeing less than that, but they're much higher in ground reaction forces. So that's why we're dropping the volume. The goal here is to project upwards and forwards. So you see big eccentric forces, which is one of the limiting factors in 2-foot and 1-foot jumping. The second element of Isaiah's workouts are usually in the weight room. And in this specific example, Isaiah did power cleans plus cleans. So he did 5 by 2 plus 2. This over the weeks increased in intensity and dropped in volume. So he was accumulating quite a few reps across this power clean exercise. He was doing 2 reps of the power clean, 2 reps of the full clean. So the reason specifically that I picked this is because we were coming off a lot of strength work, but I knew that Isaiah needed to maintain quite a bit of strength. So we had the full clean after the power cleans to work on his catch, as well as load a little bit more deep knee flexion without actually building in more sets of back squats. That said, after the power cleans and the clean complex, we built in barbell back squats. So for this, we actually did 6 by 8, working up to a heavy set of 8 on the 4th set, and then did drop sets to accumulate more volume. Following those 2 big main lifts, I don't like to leave any stones unturned. So because we loaded the knee so heavily, I wanted to make sure that we also didn't neglect the hip and the ankle. So we added some seated calf raise as well as some barbell hip thrusts.
The best investment you can make for yourself, whether you're an athlete or whether you're a dunker, is signing up for coaching at THPstrength.com. What better way to receive and learn about vertical jump training than being coached by Isaiah Rivera and John Evans themselves? Just scroll down a little bit, click the link in the description, or you can just go to THPstrength.com.
All right, Tuesday is gonna be a general day. That is a day to do isometrics. You wanna get 9 to 15 sets, especially if you have knee pain. We also do a static flexibility circuit for guys that don't have the requisite mobility that you need for your lifts or for jumping. And then we finish with 2 different strength circuits. The purpose of the strength circuits is to add volume so that when you deload, we can take that out and you can super compensate and jump higher. It also helps with recovery. It's a form of active recovery. And it also helps with your hormone profiling. Now, during this cycle, I actually didn't do the general days that are listed on here. Instead, I was doing a pretty intense upper body day on Tuesday and Thursday, focused on shoulder rehab. I was actually doing Archery Strong by Christian Williams, who is John's really good friend. And he's really smart with shoulder rehab. So if you want to check that out, make sure to go to his website. Having said that, you can do your own upper body training on these days. I would focus on muscle groups that are more specific to jumping, such as your shoulders and your upper back. Big picture, you want to just be getting general volume during these days. And if you have a history of injury, making sure you're doing those isometrics. If you have back pain, doing McGill Big 3. As long as you're getting some kind of volume in there that you can later pull out when you deload.
So now we've covered 1 high intensity day and the general days. I'll go over the final 2 high intensity days, which typically in a high-low setup, which is one of the many setups that we have for our athletes on our training, we load Wednesday and Friday as well as Monday. So for this cycle specifically, we did resisted hill sprints. The reason why is because 2-foot jumping specifically is very accelerative focused, meaning you don't get many steps and you have to generate a lot of force in relatively longer periods of time. If you put longer sprints in there, you're gonna develop faster rate of force developments because you're working at 80 to 120 milliseconds on the ground, whereas a 2-foot jump could be anywhere from 200 to 300 milliseconds. Isaiah typically spends about 260 milliseconds on the ground during a 2-foot jump. That said, after this, we moved into barbell jump squats. I like to do barbell jump squats during more specific cycles, and this followed a power or max strength kind of emphasis. So I like to put that in at least at some point during some progressions or cycles that are between 1 and 6 months long. So after the barbell jump squats, I actually annihilated Isaiah in the weight room, and I had him do 10 by 5, and it actually was 5 by 5 additionally. So it totaled 15 sets of 5 reps front squats at 55% every minute on the minute. The reason that I like this is because when I was in athletic lab, we did an in-house research study where we looked at EMOMs and we looked at the intent of every minute on the minute exercises and saw that it went up, velocity during the reps went up, and the quality of the session went up. It also is just a mental gut check, and it can really push your athlete to the brink of what they're capable of, which personally, as a coach, I enjoy pushing my athletes. Lastly, EMOMs are super efficient for time. Isaiah did 15 times 5 reps, which is 75 reps, I think, in roughly 15 minutes. So it's a ton of work in a very short period of time. After this, we finished up with more accessory work in the form of some hip and calf work. So on Friday, it is the final high intensity day. This is the day before Isaiah has his session. So I don't really want to blow up his quads. I don't want to kill him in the weight room. I want to make sure that he goes into the session feeling fresh and sharp. That said, it's not a deload week, so I don't really care if he doesn't jump well, or particularly well on or during his jump session, because the goal is training. The goal is to accumulate fatigue and help the athlete adapt. That said, I had him do single leg hops at moderate to easy intensity. This changes over the weeks, but I wanted to bleed it in and introduce this. If you guys are gonna try this, I would also encourage you to do the same. After that, I finished up with 3 exercises to make sure that he wasn't in the weight room super long, and this was a split snatch, a K-box squat, and then a pull-up press. So he's really only doing 2 exercises that are gonna load his quad. On the K-box, it's an iso-inertial device that has a flywheel that spins, so you're able to load it and then unload it. I wanted to maintain volume during this cycle, so I did 4 by 15 reps of this. Also, if you've ever done the K-box, it's massive time under tension, and he's able to cap his intensity because the reps are so high, meaning he can come into the session on Saturday and not be gassed. If you don't know this, intensity is one of the #1 things that will fatigue you if you plan on jumping high in the near future. It is the thing that will give you dead legs. That's the Wednesday and Friday sessions. So those are the high intensity days, and Isaiah will cover the jump session, which is the most important session of the week, the most important leg workout that he does.
All right, so now we're on Saturday, which is the best day of the week. It is jump day, and also the most important day in the week as far as increasing your vertical. The jump sessions are immensely important because they are the most specific thing that you can do to jump higher. And like I've mentioned before, the higher the specificity, the more transfer to your vertical you're gonna have, the more you're going to improve. For the jump session, we're gonna start with isometrics, then we're gonna go into a high intensity warm-up, and from there you do build-up jumps, and you jump basically until your legs are fried. Now, since this is the middle of a training cycle, I usually expect to jump really low during these sessions. So what I recommend for guys to do is to lower the rim to a rim height where you can actually practice the dunks that you wanna hit. That way you're practicing high quality makes instead of going out and missing a lot. All right, that is the week of jump training, guys. Make sure to give it a shot. Let us know how it goes. Remember, this is week 1, so expect to be jumping lower. Typically, we would periodize this, so we would up the intensity and lower the volume over the course of about 3 or 4 weeks, and then we would do a deload week. So expect to jump lower, but yeah, give it a shot, guys. Let us know how it goes. And like always, leave a like, comment if you have any questions, subscribe if you haven't, and go to THPstrength.com if you want me and John Evans to periodize an entire training plan for you so you can reach the highest vertical jump that you've ever hit in your life. All right, guys, catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.